And so this is the book. It begins Alif Lam Mim Dhalikan Kitab, and then the book comes, the meanings come to us. That book, La Raib Fihi Hudan lil Muttaqin, or La Raiba Fihi Hudan lil Muttaqin. And this is the beauty of this. This is the nature of the wuquf. And one of the most amazing things about the Quran to me, the wuquf are ijtihadiyah. So there are some wuquf that you can't stop on by consensus. But many of the wuquf, there are different ways that you can stop, and it'll change the meaning completely. And so there's this inexhaustible potential for meaning in the Book of Allah. And this is why Arabic was so important to be the vehicle for this last message, because Arabic is uniquely positioned amongst the languages to contain all of these possibilities. And that's why it's inexhaustible. Muslims will always find new meanings in the Book of Allah. Somebody asked Ibn Umar what was the best way to understand the Quran. He said time. It's just time is going to reveal all of the miracles of this book. And so fihi huda lil muttaqin, in it is guidance for the conscientious. But one of the things I want to just say about the muqatta'at before we go on, and this is really amazing. The people of Tajweed are going to appreciate this, and if you don't get it, don't worry, but just understand it really is something extraordinary. So Ibn Ashur quotes the Kashaf, which is the great book by the famous Mu'tazili scholar Zamakhshari. It's a book that all of our great scholars recognize as being an exemplary book, despite having some problems in some of the tafsir. But it was later basically rewritten for the Sunni tradition by Imam al-Baydawi. I mean, he took most of what was in the Kashaf and rewrote it for. So more students learn from Imam al-Baydawi's commentary than they did. But the Kashaf is a really important book because it's a rhetorical analysis of the Quran. But he says here in the Kashaf, ما ورد في هذه الفواتح. They're called أوائل السور, and they're also called فواتح السور. And Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu said that لكل كتاب سر وسر القرآن فواتح السور. Every book has a secret, and the secret of the Quran is these opening letters of the huruf al-hijab. So he says من أسماء الحروف هو نصف أسامي حروف المعجم. So it's half of the names of these huruf that we have, these letters. إذ هي 14. So there's 14 that are found in the huruf al-muqatta'a. And then he gives them. وهي الألف واللام والميم والصاد والراء والكاف والها والياء والعين والطاء والسين والحاء والقاف والنون. And then he says في 29 سورة على عدد حروف المعجم. And they're in 29 chapters based on the number of the letters in totality. So all of the meanings, these inexhaustible meanings of the Quran, are in 29 letters. Half of those letters are in 29 surahs. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. So he says that those 14 contain half of all of the attributes of the huruf. So all of the attributes of the huruf are there in those 14, but only half of them. So what that means is, so like for instance, you have mahmusa, nisfuha, as-sad wal-kaf wal-ha wal-sin wal-ha. So that's half of the mahmusa. So the mahmusa letters, these are the attributes of the hams. So then he says, the majhura has half. الألف واللام والميم والراء والعين والطاء والقاف والياء والنون. من الشديدة نصفها الألف والكاف والطاء والقاف. ومن الرخوة نصفها اللام والميم والراء والصاد والهاء والعين والسين والحاء والياء والنون. ومن المطبقة نصفها الصاد والطاء. ومن المنفتحة نصفها الألف واللام والميم والراء والكاف والهاء والعين والسين والقاف والياء والنون. ومن المستعلية نصفها القاف والصاد والطاء. ومن المستفلة نصفها الألف واللام والميم والراء والكاف والهاء والياء والعين والسين والحاء والنون ومن حروف القلقلة نصفها القاف والطاء. Right? So that's the قطب جد, right? So he's saying that you have there القاف والطاء. ثم إن الحروف التي ألغى ذكرها مكثورة بالمذكورة فسبحان الذي دقت في كل شيء حكمته. So he says they're all mentioned. The ones that aren't there are throughout the entire Quran. And he said, glory be to the one whose wisdom is so refined. So that's something really unusual about those, because I just can't imagine somebody would have ever sat and worked all that out. But this is called milh al-ilm. You know, it's like the salt, but it's very fascinating. One of the things that some of the Arifin said is that Allah gives openings to these letters to the people the closer you get to Allah. In fact, Ibn Ashur says something really beautiful. He says that Allah has the oceans of knowledge, and the prophets are the valleys, and the scholars are the rivers. And so Allah gives from His oceans of knowledge the valleys to the prophets. فَسَالَتْ أَوْدِيَتُهَا, right? أَنزَلْنَا مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مَاءً. So the water comes, and then the prophets give to the ulama. Al-ulama warathatul anbiya. So they inherit from the prophets from the valleys of water, not the oceans, because they can't contain the oceans. They can't contain the valleys, but they get the rivers, and then they become the rivulets for the common people, the people that don't. They become like, they give just enough for them to get their sustenance. So each group is getting a different amount of water, the amount that they can take without drowning. So, here we go. So, alhamdulillah, that's, I mentioned also, الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ. There's a lot of khilafat about the ghaib, but it's definitely it's not material. So now that we can see things with electron microscopy, for instance, we don't consider that ghaib, even though it's la yubsaru. It's not seen with the eye. The ghaib is something immaterial, according to our ulama. وَيُقِيمُونَ الصَّلَاةَ وَمِمَّا رَزَقْنَاهُمْ يُنْفِقُونَ.